Welcome to the Exposer. So today we doing episode 10 of Exposing Spac Nation's PT, where we will be tapping into key elements which altogether make Spac a cult and London's worst business too. In particular, this episode we will aim to cover what seems to be the lifeline of Spac Nation, because it's only if we know what keeps them thriving that we shall likewise be capable to dismantle it for all the harm they've done to the community in the name of God. So continuing on from episode 9, so Spac Nation, as I've said, basically is a business which disguises itself as a religious movement. A Christian church, to be precise, which on the exterior appears to be a place filled with vibrant and expectant of youth, where we expect a party each Sunday. Which is true until you keep on attending and realize that many of these youths are actually in places of responsibility in this place and will jump at the opportunity to have under your wing, and gradually that is when the grooming and fake love and exploitation would typically commence. So for the past 2 years now, it is evident that loans, for starters, has been something that has been keeping this church afloat. PT would always rant and talk about what he has done, and behind closed doors at meetings, he would even give stories and examples of what he's done before to be where he is today. He's even gone as far as to say he's taken big risks, and to this day people owe him money and he's got debt to pay too, allegedly. This subconsciously tells you that if you want to be great in Spac, you too must be able to do mad things. Taking out a loan is one of them, because it gives one the ability to receive funds that are much more than your monthly salary. PT has gone through this route apparently, and so have many, if not all the leaders that are around him. In fact, we know for sure that young girls, like a girl called Lloydie, has taken out loans for Samuel Kokia. So has Pastor Crystal, who apparently Spac want to ordain as a reverend, but that's pretty much been speculation. These two are females who have been in the church for a while, by the way, and they've been around to see the loan system come into place, even though they don't encourage others to take loans out. Other pastors do. Different pastors have different ways of reaching members. Some would give all their salary away to others, and some will take out loans. Some will do both. It's insane, really. Even TK openly told the East London article company that they came recruiting around here, as in East London he meant, getting people into the church. They will target young people, single mothers, ones that they can use to take out loans. I'm here to let people know that if they see these people, stay away from them. This is not normal for a church or organisation, point blank, to be doing this, and PT supports this. Because PT has been caught on videos telling his members to target young people only. And they targeted uni accommodations, they'll target schools, just places where there's young people, so that they can try and lure them into joining Spac Nation.
Very discreetly, because we are now on Periscope as well. Listen to this. There are two set of people that we need right now. Only you're 30 years old now, right? Only your Pastor Sam and Pastor Obi, right? Is that correct? Is that correct, guys? Talk now. 30. Okay. Listen to this now. I want to make a point. And those of you who are 28, 27, 29, 20, whatever, please listen. I don't need that age bracket. No. So, hostels and uni accommodation be targeted 110% everywhere there is young people.
So here he is saying anywhere there's young people to be targeted. But back to the loans, because ultimately the recruitment of young people connects with why Spac Nation started to heavily rely on loans, and why they were heavily recruiting, especially university students or people who were just about to go to university. But people must understand, a loan is not free money. So they can't be defrauding banks and the government, because it is us people who will have to pick up the pieces. We need tighter security checks to be implemented on these loan websites. The reason why PT has strategically hinted at leaders to exploit people through loans is because business loans comes with a few benefits. Business loans helps to expand business, to improve its cash flow so that they can keep moving around from place to place, whilst putting the rest of the money in their pockets. To pay for specialist social media strategies which can assist in Spac's brand and marketing campaign to attract even more souls into attending, and to overcome any debt it may have. But however, in Spac's case, when they have outstanding debt, they usually crash and dash the place, which means they stay until they get kicked out. This is a disrespectful practice. It is this behaviour which the congregation copies and replicates. We need Spac to stop being careless and own up to what they're doing to people. Apparently a spokesman from Spac said, and I'm paraphrasing, so if you want to read the article for yourself, it will be on the Daily Mail, The spokesperson basically said that people have financial troubles and they have taken out personal loans, and they have a debt management department which is run by our qualified financial advisor. But this is a lie. There's no such department. In fact, PT encourages bleeding for seed, which Huffington Post wrote about. PT spoke about how Jesus bled for our sins so similarly, so we must also shed blood too. PT says this in his Merry Christmas message on Periscope. Which financial advisors are they talking about? Is it Onye, who is the head of Post, who believes you don't need a good credit score? Is it Nikki, who said on camera that you need to steal? And in another video, she said to a university student who ain't working that they need to be tithing off the student loan? I don't believe Spac Nation have the slightest clue on what genuine financial literacy is. So if they do have financial advisors, let us see their credentials also. If not, then whoever is a spokesperson is, please ask them to refrain from speaking because they just sound very ludicrous. And as for the debt management department, Mariam has once said that she's told her girls to repay back £1 to who they owe money to. So much for debt management, because this department is meant to help wipe off debt, not elongate it. This traps people in Spac Nation, but however, if you're listening to this and you're in debt, the road may look long for you. However, the first step will also be to leave Spac, but also find a solid repayment strategy. Financial freedom is everything, bondage is not. So please do not give your details out, keep your belongings close, and do not help anyone out who attends this place. A second lifeline that Spac have adopted is something which is called lines. This lines thing is something that has over the years grown to be a safeguarding issue, as we would hear every so often that kids have gone missing, and this sometimes would be due to them having been abducted or have run away to somebody to sell illegal substances. And when this is done under the radar, is in an organised manner, we call it county lines, because there's a chain of vulnerable people involved with a leader at the top. And unfortunately, I'm not mistaken when I tell you that Spac has adopted the system into his church. No church has ever stooped as low as to engage in this, only Spac Nation. And so PT will be first on the Sunday service to call for lines and pray for people to join lines. People would then pitch the reasons for people to join the lines, and as usual, PT would even hop onto Periscope to speak about this. In fact, one of the Periscope is entitled Building Godly Lines, Giving a Beep. And so now, instead of leaders allocating one person to check up on who to give your seed to, there would be a WhatsApp group created where you would be discussing with what Spac calls a line leader ways that you would give your money. It would be preferably in cash. I personally believe the lines were adopted as means to strengthen the credit of the line leader and to squeeze more money out of people, and for the spirit of competition to thrive to see whichever team will outperform the other. The difference between street gangs and Spac is that gangs aim for whatever they can, unless you lose the product, and now you owe them money. Spac will tell you that X amount of pound is the figure, so you need to go and get that. A line leader in Spac is meant to either fire you up or sweet talk you into being able to do it, from what I know. Alex Ganlock, who's also a Hope Dealer member called Bread, said out loud that they had a target of 100k. There are 50 lines, 50 people, and every line to give 2k. He will say this passionately before, but he's no longer now on Periscope, as we know, because Spac is heavily on the investigation. But these lines are to put less pressure on the pastor too, who are forced to give a lot. So if you have people in your line giving, then it evens it out. There would apparently be people in Spac without a line who would get encouraged to join one.
And we've said today is we're going to have 30 lines. 30 lines to raise 15k. Each line will have assistants.
There are 10 people, there are 10 pastors that have been selected out of the Connect Camp for now that are going to give 1k a week. They're going to give 1k a week. Now, if you're on, this is a very important statement to you and to the rest of the nation. If you're not one of those people, get behind the pastor. Now, guess what these pastors have to be trained to do? Listen, they have to be trained minimum to teach their people how to make £200 a week. They can start with £100 a week. They must get their people. 10 pastors must select 10 people in their line, and those 10 people must make £100 a week every week. Look at this. They must make £100 a week every week. They must minimum £100, but they must train them to be able to make 200, to be able to give £200 a week.
I said to everybody within inside of my line, I call them world leaders. I said to them, look, there should be no reason as to why. There should be no reason as to why you cannot produce £250 every single week. This week, every single line has a target of 2k. There will be 10 lines, 10 or 11 lines. I believe it's 11. 11. Thank you, Pastor Mary. There will be 11 lines. 11 lines of 2K. I have 10 people in my line and I've charged them, look, this is what you're going to do. Everybody, £200 this week. That's what you're going to go and do. 10 people, £200. 2K line. The dealer, you have yours. And my line know what to do. 10 people, 2K line, simple. There'll be 11 lines, 2K. 2K. We're going to be given 2K this week, and I want your faith to be stirred.
So this morning we said, no, we're starting a new group of financiers. I only want 7 people in that group chat, and those 7 people are going to finance this thing, 1K each. We're not going to put all the burden of raising money for a particular thing on one person. 7 people. And in that group you have Pastor Karen, Pastor Faye, Sam Tolu, people that you wouldn't expect. Their heart is for seed. Their heart, Pastor Busola. Pastor Busola's been sowing this week in, week out, making sure that there's funds for a particular thing. I love to talk about money, but the more I pray, the more I understand that it's spiritual. The more I understand that all I've got to do, I'll be very, and PT said that we can boast in these things and we can compete in these things. My line is forever going to be the strongest impulse. Forever. I have 5 lines. I compete with my brothers on giving all the time. Charlie will say, you guys are ignoring Post Central. Charlie has 2 lines. Charlie has 2 lines. Those that we are leading are going to be hungry. They're going to want to do more. We're seeing a Sam, he's saying, I'm going to read these messages to you because this is my inspiration. And he said, Ma, I need to be 2 lines. I'll do it. I'm begging you, make me 2 lines. Why am I 1 line? Make me 2 lines. I don't understand. Why am I 1 line? In fact, I'm gonna have 5 lines. I'm gonna raise 2 lines for Pastor Alex, 2 lines for myself, and I'm gonna raise 1 more line to give to somebody else. This boy's mom is blind. His mom is blind. He does not care. He's not emotionally attached to any situation. He's just assignment based.
Now you have the right to protest if your name is not there. You have every right to protest for your name to be there. But it's going to be 38. It's going to be 38. You know, last month, the number is supposed to be 70. By the time we checked all the lines were just 62. There are 8 people missing. Believe me, because the prophetic number is 30, is 70. And I've announced that this month the lines will be 50. No, it's not going to be 50. It's going to be 38. The Lord told me this morning it's 38. So from today, actually from last week, these 38 lines have the liberty to start building their lines. Their whole family as hashtag 400. The Pulse is a family. 500. The Pulse is a family is hashtag 500. Those who are strong among them, like Eastside, like Paul Central, like Brixton, they can all hashtag 200. It means that anytime you gather, it must be 200 young people. And look, you have the opportunity now to do that. RBG, the Elite family, hashtag 500. You have no excuse. We're going to have a honor Sunday for our pastor, which is myself, your PT. The 11th of November is going to be PT times 1,000. That's what we're going for. But on the 30th, their Halloween day, we have hashtag 400K. That's our hashtag. Now, we're making a prophetic statement again that the more our line reduces, right, the more our giving goes up. I want all this line, each line will have at least 10 people in it. If you will pray with them, if you will fast with them, if you will reshare the word of God with them. We are also sowing this week. This is my own sowing week somehow. That's God's fault, not me. I want you to follow those lines, and I want you to ask me questions about those lines. The strategy for giving, I've said, it is 38 lines for this month. You can reach it tomorrow if you like. Once you've reached it, we're ready for you. This is how we're going to do it now. Now, I know you guys are going to try to confuse this, but I've explained it in the simplest form any human can. You understand? I've explained it in the simplest, the most humble form. The names in there, what they would do is, if you don't want to be a line out of the 38 lines, which I advise you to be, but if you don't want to be, you'll be stricken out to then join a line, of course, and someone else will replace. But what we're doing is, there are 70 there, 60 something there already, and there are many others. So in other words, what we're gonna do is, those 38 lines will begin to build their lines, and we see we'll get there before the 31st or before the 30th of September. That's the aim. So if you are not part of the 38 line, you have the right to protest, to say, I want to build a line that will get to 11 1 11 11. I want to build a line. And God will bring people around you and support you, and we'll get to where we're going. If you have faith, you have faith. Do you understand that? Is it clear though, or is it confusing? People have asked, what if I want to give in my house fellowship, or join a line that is not in my fellowship? Just record it in your fellowship and join whatever line you want to join. But we will still redistribute those lines so that every line is strong enough. We just want to do something amazing.
So you can see that being a pastor in Spac is very demanding and sucks you into a life of full-time dedication to the cause of Spac, which is another reason why lines were introduced, because it is a clever tactic for the line leaders, aka the pastors, to pocket extra money made after having reached the target of the month. Meanwhile, your own pockets have been exploited. So PT is definitely eating from this too, because as a man who doesn't apparently have a bank account, but who is devoted to Spac Nation, if I say all this money is counted and then given to PT for him to pray over, if no one knows where it goes afterwards, then it leaves us no option to believe that he indeed gets paid by the church, and not the government or from any other business, or even from friends and family who he says gifts him. That's what he said on TV when they asked him about his income. So one of the other things that I mentioned before in the Exposing PT episodes was that he was heavily reliant on the community units, the fellowships, where he would get a lot of the members to raise a lot of money. But later on, the fellowships dissolved and PT started to get involved into the trap houses. And there's a big reason behind that. One of the reasons was that Spac started to lose a lot of members, and important members left, which influenced a lot of other members to leave with them. So he couldn't rely on the fellowships no longer, because he didn't have enough people who were committed to going to all of the fellowships. So it made more financial sense to cancel majority of the fellowships and to focus mainly on the trap houses, where it was easy and more effective for him to allegedly launder more money. Vulnerable people would be fed into lies of Spac better and bring their friends to chill, and then they would have services in these trap houses and disregarding the neighbors. Houses which were only made for a few people will be inhabited by double the amount of people, or triple at times, both sexes together chilling with each other after hours. This is where the recruitment comes in, because these trap houses also need money to survive. There are nice houses in uptown parts of London, one being in Muswell Hill, a few in Bromley, and a few in another part of South London. So with Spac, there's always a drive for souls to help pay for things. That's why there's an aim to reach certain people at all times too. Before one of the Hope dealers left Spac, they said that they would be evangelizing at 3 a.m. in the morning. Others would pitch Spac at work. Stephen would speak to young souls in supermarkets, and now they're dancing to Pop Smoke in a Sunday service. These are souls that they will be bringing back to the houses. The youth have to be impressionable in Spac for them to be worthy targets and the right people for Spac. I guess they're not living up to their name because of Spac, because Spac stands for Salvation Proclaimers Anointed Church, but they're not proclaiming salvation on these streets at all. Businesses have internal and external staff. I guess Spac have ministers for the interior and evangelists to go out and bring in souls. So then, instead of just targeting gang members or young looking people, they'll purposely go to Birmingham, for example, to look for university students. And lately, PT has mentioned Midlands and Spac even going global. God forbid. But he's trying to use a model of reaching different black youth and future leaders in graduate careers, wherever they are, in order to raise them up under Spac, for them to be soldiers for this church. But we believe people are coming to their senses, either seeing through this channel and other channels the exposing of many things of what Spac does. It's coming to light and cannot be rebuted, because many of the accusations are indeed factual. And another reason why I believe it's failing is because Spac is not genuinely rooted with a foundation on God. If PT was not there, the thing will not grow. They adore him so much, which is why he's stuck. Because if he goes to Nigeria, then over there Spac will not be able to survive, and he knows this, which is why he calls for seed. He's made investment overseas instead to protect himself. So you can see a clear pattern here of the need for money and people to come and invest large sums of money, either willingly or unwillingly. And we've seen many a times with the cases of fraudulent loans getting taken out, of fake businesses being opened, allegedly theft too happening in this organization. So essentially, just like every other business, the way to defend ourselves from them is to get the youth in Spac to understand what they are given to and what their lives can be outside of Spac. Plus, tell young people not to go there and to be more inquisitive when someone approaches them. This would help them be less vulnerable to their attacks too. PT will say that he knows that only 200 or 300 people are really with him. Okay, so if that's the case, then so be it. But leave the youngsters alone. So this episode was more about breaking down PT's lifelines. He needs people supporting him at all times. And it's not too late to get out of being in this place. And if this has affected you and you're still there, please leave. There's still time. No one will judge you. The information, I repeat, has not been fabricated by ourselves, but it's partly information that has been said and I've heard with my own ears. I hope we've been able to show you guys the controlling man who he is and how Spac became dangerous cult. So stay locked in for the next episodes. 2020 will be interesting. Spac Nation will fall. So this is episode 10 of Exposing Spac Nation, Jim Jones, PT.